So let's get started. Let me just pull up my questions real quick. I don't want to make it too like robotic and like me just bombarding you with questions. I'd more like to
Yeah, yeah,
just
of
like
course.
hear what you have to say, you know?
Yeah, that sounds better. I was a bit I think I remember years back, I think in like 2015 or something,
Hmm.
um I did a kind of more sort of rigid and structured like interview with I think it was CSX 42 Gaming.
Oh
Um
yeah.
like this was a long time ago. I didn't even remember that I did it until I looked at my page on the Geometry Dash Wikia like a couple months back and I was like, oh, I forgot that exists. But yeah, this sounds more chill.
Yeah. You know, it's funny actually, I actually watched that one through in my research.
Oh, but like recently, I couldn't bring myself to listen to my voice from all those years ago.
That's perfectly understandable, you know? Like even me, I look back on my old videos, I just cringed. So, yikes.
Tell me about it. I was putting like all the chroma keyed MLG edit stuff over my videos from like 2015, and I can't bring myself to watch them the whole way through now.
It's funny because you're rare because most people I see, they usually like kind of wipe everything clean. Like they usually try to hide everything like that.
Yeah,
But like you don't care what people say, you know? Just
yeah. I mean, I figured it's kind of like those videos are a product of their time now. There's no point in being overly embarrassed about it because it was what everyone found funny back then, even if it's kind of
yeah.
painful to look at now. Um, yeah, as long as I've kind of tried to clear up anything from my channel that relates to sort of personal information. More recently, just because I'm kind of getting to that age where I'm uh, kind of I'm going to be looking for like full time employment and starting a career in obviously a completely unrelated field, and I don't want too many links between my channel and kind of personal information, like identifiable personal information.
Yeah. Makes sense,
But
makes
other than
sense.
that, yeah.
All right. So, I'm just going to give a quick recap on your story to make sure we're on the same page. So you started playing the game around 2014ish.
Yeah, 1.6, I think shortly after 1.6 released.
Oh yeah. And you got it on your phone initially, but you eventually made the switch to PC.
Yes, yeah,
And then on PC you started a YouTube channel
yeah, correct.
and you started posting a few playthroughs and whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so. I downloaded it on my phone. I think my friend in school introduced me to the game in maybe February or March
Hmm.
2014, and I can't remember when the Steam version came out. I think it was like November, maybe November 2014, December.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that's when I started kind of screen recording stuff and uploading it. I know you could, at least on iOS, you could use EveryPlay to upload from mobile prior to that, but I think I had like a like kind of cheap Motorola Android phone at the time, and it wasn't really possible.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah,
So from there, this is where the story gets a bit interesting, right?
indeed. Yeah, you could say
There's an
that.
elephant in the room we have to address. So a couple of these playthroughs you were
Hmm.
posting online were a bit hacked.
Yeah, you could say that. Um, not very well concealed in retrospect as well. I mean, I didn't even know how to deal with the motion blur stuff on Sony Vegas. It just makes all those videos look so dated now. Um, yeah,
but
yeah,
but the truly legendary part of your story, which is, see, I'm making a video on. It's a bit clickbaity, but Geometry Dash's forgotten legends. You see,
oh,
legends of the past.
sounds great. You're really bigging me up here.
No, but the truly legendary part about your story is that even though you hacked, you
Yeah,
confessed
yes.
without pressure, without anybody on your back, or maybe I'm mistaken.
Um, so that's sort of a little bit of a misconception, to be honest. That I think
Mm,
is kind of. Uh, I was kind of looking through I think the comments on one of your videos previously about
mhm,
like Geometry Dash's biggest hackers, and also I was looking at the subreddit just to see what people's perception on all that was kind of years later.
mhm.
Um, and while no one had sort of publicly done any sort of expose on me, um, by the time I'd confessed, behind the scenes there was kind of a lot going on. So I was in Geostorm at the time,
Yeah.
back between maybe like early 2015 up to quite shortly before everything came out. Um, and I'd got a couple messages from, I think it was Riot in Michigan,
Mhm.
um, who had basically started kind of asking questions, not explicitly like making like kind of super direct accusations, but they were kind of like pointing out some inconsistencies and wanting answers. Um, I think I remember being on holiday with my family at the time. I think I was 14 years old.
Mhm.
And as soon as I started getting those messages, I just remember my stomach dropping. I was like, "Oh God!"
They're on to
Um,
you.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I think initially, privately, I kind of denied everything. Um, but I realized that I knew I hadn't bothered to cover my tracks that well. I mean, you can look at any of those videos, like the Cataclysm video especially, now, and they don't hold up. I think anyone watching those now would almost immediately be suspicious.
Mm.
Um, and I can't entirely remember, and I wouldn't have access to all the messages now because this was over Skype rather than Discord, and it was like what 9 years ago almost.
I see. Yeah.
Um, but as far as I remember, um, oh, actually, I think
Yeah.
Optigonus maybe um released, maybe uploaded a video on YouTube trying to expose my Cataclysm completion at the time,
Oh.
and I had words privately with him, and it was taken down. And I
What'd
think
you tell him?
short, I can't remember entirely, but I do know that Lunatic Doom Machine was a collab with him. I think
Mhm.
that came afterwards, so I don't know if that was like a little form of bribery or something. uh,
Oh,
but yeah,
that's so interesting. What?
yeah, I think that collab was maybe a way of me trying to save myself, which is not a great look for me. I'll admit it now, but I'd see no reason not to be honest with everything at this point.
No, because it was so long ago, and like you were what, 14? It's hard to remember that all these players back in the day, regardless of what they did, they were all just children, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 23 now. It's it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I managed to keep the stuff from Optigonus quiet, and then I think not long after that, um, I was confronted more directly in private messages from, it was either Riot Michigan or Gyron David.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Gyron that kind of pushed me over the line, and I was like, look, it's only a matter of time before there's kind of one of these kind of big players exposes me publicly, and
Yeah.
I figured it's best to just kind of nip it in the bud, come out beforehand, just so I can sort of have the first word and make everything clear. And that's when I
Yeah.
decided I was gonna. I think I was at school at the time, reading messages from these guys, and I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna put together a video and come clean about everything, because it was only a matter of time at that point before something went public.
Interesting. You see, this is the part of the story that never gets told.
Yeah, the Optigonus stuff I think is I kind of largely forgotten about it as well.
Mm,
But Optigonus was the first and I think only person that made anything public prior to the confession video being uploaded.
mm. So what did Optigonus see? Because me, I wasn't around back then, so I don't understand like what to look out for. I
Yeah, yeah.
understand you probably use speed hack to do all this, right?
Yeah, so just I'll quickly run through what I did. It
Let's
was
hear it.
like very basic for the time. So I would take the custom song files, put them into Audacity, and just change the tempo down to 0.5. So they're running at half speeds, so the orbs sort of look okay.
Hmm.
But I don't think it made the orbs perfect. I think the pulsing was still somewhat off. It looked okay kind of at a glance, but if you kind of took gameplay side by side, it wouldn't entirely match up.
Hmm.
Maybe due to kind of like little imperfections in the way Audacity sort of slowed down the audio. So then I'd use Cheat Engine, 0.5 times speed, complete levels, put them into Sony Vegas, speed it up, try and make it look sort of legitimate, but obviously I did a pretty poor job at it. Um, that was the gist of it. Um,
That's
so kind of
fascinating because you had to watch out for the orb pulse, right? So how did that work?
yeah, the Orb Pulse was so on like custom songs from like Newgrounds. Um, the songs that were in the game, so like obviously level 1 to whatever it was at the time, like
Hmm.
Stereo Madness and everything. If you slowed the game down, I think because the orb pulses were kind of already programmed in or something, I don't know how it works exactly. Those would, if you played the game in Cheat Engine at half speed, the orbs would slow down as well. But if you didn't slow a custom song down and you're playing at 0.5 speed, the orbs would pulse still normally. So if you sped the video up, the orbs would be going at like double speed. It'd look terrible. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't know how well I've explained that, but that's kind
No,
of
that
that's
makes
kind of the gist of
sense.
it. Yeah.
And the
Uh,
orb they pulse to like what, like the beat of the music, or like do the creators kind of make the pulses on their own? Like,
to the beat of the music, I think it's like an automatic thing built into the game.
oh, so okay, so when you slowed it down, now the orbs were slowing down alongside it. That makes perfect sense. That's
Yeah,
very
that's
interesting.
that's why I had to slow the songs down in Audacity. Yeah. So I'm just trying to think. Um, so yeah, that was how it was done, and I think Optigonus video. It's kind of funny in retrospect because I'm pretty sure he did a side by side comparison of my gameplay and a legitimate Cataclysm gameplay, and kind of compared frame by frame the orbs and said they didn't match up.
Hmm.
Funnily enough, actually, I think the legitimate quote unquote gameplay that he used was Cyclics, which which in retrospect is kind of funny because that wasn't legitimate either.
I mean,
Uh,
he confessed to hacking, but I mean, there's some conspiracy. I don't want to call it conspiracy, but there's some
yeah,
theories that that was actually legitimate
but
for
Cyclics
whatever
was
reason. Hmm?
interesting. I wonder. Yeah, was the theory kind of like he just didn't want the attention and he decided to?
Yeah, exactly. Like for sure, what was it? Sonic Wave for sure. That was hacked. Obviously,
Yes.
nobody at the time could pull that off. There was another level. I think it was the Hell Factory. It was like a remake of something, but that was most likely hacked too.
Yes, yeah, the remake of the Son 0924
Exactly. But
one. Yeah,
everything
yeah.
before that, that's kind of murky. I mean, people believe he did that legitimately, but obviously,
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, the Sonic Wave one, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, 100%. But yeah,
yeah.
you're, but that was the video roughly that Optigonus has uploaded. I don't know if that got fully deleted or it was just prohibited or unlisted, but I don't think it'll be anywhere now.
Yeah. Maybe I could try reaching out to him, but I don't know. Because that'd be very interesting to see, because he was onto something, but
Yeah, no, he pretty much uh, caught me. but I managed to kind of reel that one in behind the scenes at the time.
Mm.
Um, which again I know is not a great look, but I'm just trying to be open and honest now. There's no point in um
You
in,
gotta
in keep.
remember again that you're 14, right? Like lots of people do stupid things at 14.
Yeah, yeah, and that doesn't entirely excuse it because at the time I knew what I was doing was wrong. But again, like you're right in saying we all do stupid stuff when we're that kind of age. So uh, yeah, it happened, and it was wrong, and obviously I can admit that now. Um, but yeah, so yeah, that was pretty much the story of how I got caught.
But I can't help but compare yourself to. So I don't know if you've been keeping up with the community for the past few years, but are you like aware of like the Space UK situation?
Vaguely. So I wasn't paying any attention to the community at all while that was happening. But I think what did I do? I think I have a sort of rough idea of it just because I watched the video maybe a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Um, out of curiosity. From what I gathered, that was pretty bad.
It was horrible. And like the thing that really gets me, and I keep as I was researching you, I keep comparing him to you because
Yeah,
I did a video on him too.
yeah,
So it's crazy because when he was caught initially,
mhm,
they only caught him for a few select levels. And
yeah,
even then, when he was caught red-handed with those, and it was like a big video, he still tried to like sort of weasel out and say that it was only those levels that were hacked. But truly, it was everything. And it was only
yeah,
when he was exposed for everything that he confessed, right?
yeah. I also, if I'm not mistaken, did he claim to then go on to rebeat stuff, but it turned out that was hacked as well?
I
Or have I
think
got
I think the rebeats are legitimate.
okay?
The rebeats are legitimate, but the lies didn't end because so his claim to fame was the fact that he had jumped from an insane demon
Yeah.
to a top, what was it, like 30ish, right?
Which level was it?
It was from, I think it was Windy Landscape to Wazaretta.
There wasn't, right? Wow, that's quite a
Yeah,
jump.
that was a huge jump. And like the fact that he was still claiming that that's what he did, even though going back, you could see on his leaderboard history that he had beaten Cataclysm in between that.
Oh, so he lied about little things like that as well.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And he still wouldn't admit it after he was caught red-handed. And it's like for you, you just laid everything out. You admitted everything clean, you know? It's like I just can't help but compare you two, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I guess I folded pretty quickly in comparison. But I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable stretching out a lie kind of to the point where it would start to really crack. I mean, I didn't feel comfortable lying to a lot of people anyway.
Hmm.
And I think I had that sort of guilty conscience about it.
So Guilt was a
Um,
player too.
yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Um, I think at some point I knew it was inevitable that I would get caught at some point, and it was only a matter of time. So I just kind of, as soon as suspicion started to arise, thought, screw it, I can. There's no point.
That makes perfect sense. And here, I can ask you another deeper question. So,
Yeah.
what made you do it in the first place?
What made me hack?
Yeah.
This is a good question, and I sort of anticipated being asked this and tried to think about a response.
Hmm.
Um, hold on, just give me a second. Just trying to put my thoughts together here.
No
Um,
worries.
I think
If I could help you, perhaps it was like a bit of like fame acting on there because your channel was growing a lot, like when you're
yeah,
posting these hard completions.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I like the attention that I got from it. You know, it was satisfying to see those numbers go up, subscribers, views, and everything.
Like
Um,
everybody likes it.
yeah, yeah. Um, like I'd sort of in the past, back in like earlier on in 2014, I looked up to all these like big players and YouTubers like Aeon Air, Darnock, I think at the time,
Hmm.
Biprin, all those kind of people. Um, and feel like I was a part of that sort of echelon um, at the time of Geometry Dash players, just in terms of like notoriety. Um, I really liked it, and I'm trying to think what else. Oh, there was another reason I was going to give as well, but my mind's blanking now. Just give me a sec.
No worries, no worries.
Um, yeah, I guess at the core of it, I just kind of felt like by by kind of blowing up on on YouTube and in the community through doing all this stuff, I'd sort of like become someone in a sense. I'd made a name for myself, um, which just felt nice. And also, I think I'd seen how easy it was to get away with sort of speed hacking, even if um you weren't doing it that well was at the time.
Mm.
Kind of refer to maybe like Nubus channel. I don't know if all his old completions are still up, but I remember he'd hacked like I think maybe Necropolis, Deadly Club Step, all those levels that were considered hard at the time. And and despite his videos looking pretty suspicious, he still managed to do pretty well for himself. Um, and also I remember in the Geostorm chat back in like 20 like late 2014, early 2015. The so I'd experimented with speed hack before like uploading stuff
Hmm.
just to see if it would like work. And the problem was the orbs pulsing. Like I said before, they would pulse it like if you were playing the game at half speed, the orbs would pulse along with the song, so it looks silly if you sped it up for levels with custom songs. But then I remember, I think in the Geostorm chat, Heinz had mentioned that you could go into through like find. He mentioned where the folder for the custom songs were, and said that you could make gameplay look legitimate by slowing the songs down. I think he was just kind of putting that in the chat as like a warning, saying that the pulsing of orbs as a way of telling if someone's hacking isn't totally reliable because the songs can be altered and that can make it look more legitimate. And unfortunately, I kind of ran with that idea and kind of just pinched it. And yeah, that's yeah.
He dropped it as a warning, but you took it as a suggestion or like a.
Yeah,
That's very
effectively,
interesting.
yes.
So, about when did this start? Like, I'm looking at like I sort of timelined all your
Mhm.
important events, and like
Yeah.
you have a 50% run of Necropolis. Was that legit or hacked?
Hold on, I'm just gonna run and scroll back.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
about February 2015, like
February
very early.
2015. Um, Necropolis 50%. That was hacked. Yep.
Okay. You see, I guess posting progress before actually posting like the 100% completion
Yeah.
sort of builds legitimacy, right?
Exactly. That was the idea behind it. And that video was also kind of an experiment. I think that Necropolis video that was uploaded before I'd figured out the stuff about slowing down custom songs to fit with the orbs. So I hadn't uploaded any speed hacked stuff with custom songs.
Hmm.
Obviously, Necropolis uses Time Machine, so the orb stuff wasn't a concern.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Because if I'd done this with like a normal level, the orbs would have been going all over the place, and then
Yeah, they go
it's
crazy,
over
and it
for
would.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's very
Um, so,
interesting.
so I'll try and find the first video that I'd uploaded where I would have messed with the song. It can't be decode. There's no way I hack decode. Hold on.
Yeah, perhaps it was supersonic. I see you have that in early April.
I think it might have been even more embarrassing than that. Hold on. I can do worse. Uh, it was uh, Breakthrough by Heinz, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, Breakthrough was the first. Yeah, it was Breakthrough.
And what is that like around like a hard demon or?
Breakthrough, I think, is a hard demon at the moment. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um.
So not terribly
Yeah.
difficult.
No, not terribly difficult, but I mean, Breakthrough was considered harder at the time, because everyone was playing 60 hertz and on kind of worse mobile devices.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think Breakthrough was kind of considered very hard at the time, but now it's, of course, yeah, it's kind of a piece of piss, really. But
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Hertz because I think you mentioned in like your previous interview with the other guy that you're
mhm.
playing initially on like a 30 hertz TV screen.
I'm
Is that
trying to
true?
think. What was I playing on initially? I think
'Cause I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, whoa.
I was playing initially on kind of like a pretty busted old laptop that I think maybe had a refresh rate of. I think I was playing at like 50 frames per second, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, I think it might have been 50, but I can't honestly remember now.
Maybe you're like exaggerating back in the day, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But
Yeah.
I think I something kind of rings a bell about it being lower than 60. I don't know if maybe that's just because it couldn't run the game consistently at that
Oh,
sort
I
of frame
see.
rate. Um, but yeah, it was. I wouldn't have been able to. Well, it would have been possible, but I certainly didn't have the skills at the time to beat levels like Breakthrough on that sort of device.
Hmm. Yeah. So, okay. I have a couple more things I want to get some clarification on. So,
Of course.
you know, it's interesting to see that. So let me just pull up the timeline. You built Poltergeist, like after completing a bit of Sonic, no, sorry, Nine Circles type levels. It's like,
Yes.
did that like kind of push you to make your own?
Yeah, pretty much. I saw there was kind of like an explosion of those sort of levels popping up and getting rated, and I thought I'd kind of hop on the trend. If I remember correctly, I think Poltergeist from start to finish. Um, I think I built it in about 2 days or less.
Hmm.
Um, so it was kind of very quickly thrown together. Um, but it turned out okay, and it seems to
Yeah.
have kind of held a bit of a legacy, which is nice to see.
And it's interesting because your work on Poltergeist was kind of like sandwiched between you posting previews for probably your biggest level, the ultimate phase, and
Yes, yeah.
you completing it. So that was like a bit of a side quest. You know, I guess when you're kind
Mhm.
of getting support from, speed hacks, you can do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff pretty quick, eh?
I mean, it's certainly I could kind of concentrate my efforts into a lot of different things at once.
Yeah.
Um, when you're cheating on the big ones.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I can't remember if the ultimate phase was kind of being put together around the time that Poltergeist came out or not. Um, let's see. Yeah, there was an Ultimate Phase preview posted, and then was Poltergeist. Yeah, Poltergeist was after that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean those were the two kind of level creating trends that were going off at the time. It was nine circles levels and mega collabs, stuff like Supersonic. Um, so yeah, me being kind of grossly unoriginal, I thought I'd hop on both of those trends around the same time, and it seemed to have worked. So
It certainly did, because from this point, your subscriber growth really took off, it seems.
yeah, the ultimate phase kind of really blew it up. I think one of the things that helped was I was in a Facebook group called, I think it was like Geometry Dash Gamers slash Likers around the time, and through that I was able to make contact from about 2014 onwards with Guitar Hero Styles. Uh, so I think having his name on that, although that would obviously having his name on anything doesn't really have a positive effect these days. Um, at the time, he was like the biggest Geometry Dash YouTuber in terms of subscribers, so that really helped kind of blow up the channel. I think he uploaded some sort of preview as well and linked to my account and stuff. So
Yeah, and when you uploaded those previews, the hype really grew. It was very
it did,
interesting to
yeah,
see.
yeah. It was very rapid from that point on,
And
and I think
it's sorry, go on.
sorry, I
No,
was
no.
going to say I think Poltergeist kind of complemented that as well. Those two things at the same time sort of bounced off each other, and yeah, yeah, that's when the
Yeah,
channel
because
started to really grow.
you know, Poltergeist was probably the hardest nine circles level at the time, right?
Yes, yeah, it was the hardest until I'm trying to think if it was it the hardest until Sonic Wave. It was the hardest until Sonic Wave was reviewed, but I can't think of anything else came out that was harder before
Hmm,
Cyclic actually uploaded Sonic Wave.
very impressive. And it's funny you mentioned all these big names, like including like Guitar Hero styles. Like with him in particular, were you like kind of close to him?
We'd had contact over Facebook Messenger to some degree, I think, just because of that group. Nothing creepy. I know obviously stuff's come out about him, and I was like a 14-year-old kid at the time, but there was nothing. There was nothing up about it. It was all innocent.
Oh, I
I'm
see, I
not.
see.
I'm not a victim. Um. I.
I didn't even think
So.
about it from that angle, but that's interesting because in hindsight, hey man, it's
Yeah.
funny because my next video will speak about that entire drama because I've probably spent like 30 hours just researching it. It's crazy.
Damn, you gotta be careful. Make sure. I don't know if he's kind of tried to silence people and that sort of stuff, but he's he's still, I think, a pretty big name.
That is true. But I
Um,
think most of the people you silence have been like relatively smaller channels. I'm hoping
yeah,
that if I speak about him, like, I mean, if he takes it down, that's a pretty good. Like, I can kind of fight to, like, what's the word? Like, fight against that?
yeah, you'd be able to appeal it, I would think.
Yeah, appeal. Yeah,
I
that's the
mean,
word. Yeah,
there's no legitimate reason why you kind of reporting on that should be taken down, but I know
yeah,
he'd probably like people to keep quiet. I don't really know the whole saga with that as well because I was sort of out of the community at the time. But all I know is that there was just weird stuff with him and younger people going on, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty poor.
All right, here I have a couple more questions to ask you. I see.
Hmm.
With the ultimate phase, was that like a geostorm thing? Like
Um,
because I see lots of geostorm names. Like, was that kind of was you being a part of that group able to like kind of help you recruit all these big names? Because this was like the Avengers of Geometry Dash Mega Collabs. Like you had Viprin,
mhm,
Guitar before he was exposed. Obviously, like all these big names. It's actually like in hindsight, like sorry, not in hindsight, but like looking back, it's so
mhm.
interesting to see like how you're able to bring all these people together.
Yeah, yeah. it was mostly kind of done just by reaching out to people on Skype, and I got those contacts, most of them through Geostorm at the time, and then there were the odd ones like Guitar was from Facebook,
Hmm.
um, and is it Tigrisek? I don't actually know how to pronounce his name after all these years. He was we'd had quite a lot of contact over Facebook as well. I'm trying to think if there were any others, but I think those are the two main ones that were coordinated off of Skype and outside of the Geostorm circle. Um, yeah, I think that's it pretty much. But you know, everyone else like Vibrant, Crack, um, Zobros, yeah, those were all they were all from GS, I think.
Are you still a member or?
No, I haven't been a member for years. I got that's another interesting story. So I was a member through 2015 up until the hacking stuff came out, and I was
Oh,
readmit. Yeah, because they had a pretty strict no cheating rule, of course, which makes sense. You know, they've they have to sort of maintain that prestige.
yeah.
Um, and I was readmitted in 2016. Um, but so you know the original Zobros spammy part in the ultimate phase with the blue orbs and everything.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so that was there in the original version of the level, and I remember Riot reached out to me in early 2016 when I was in Geostorm for the second time, and he was saying basically like it was bugging out on his refresh rate or something, and he couldn't get past it. So I nerfed the level, but I couldn't verify it at the time, so I just used a verify hack to upload the nerf version onto the servers. Um, and that ruffled a few feathers in GS,
Mm.
because it had been done, it had been hacked, but it was a nerfed version or bug fixed, and Riot had requested it as well. So there was kind of a bit of a split in opinion, where I think a lot of people were saying, "Look, like, don't do it again." But it's chill. You're not going to get kicked out. I remember Aurorus really wanted rid of me for some reason, so he really pushed to have me kicked out again. Um, I remember we had a bit of there was some there was some beef between us at the time. Um,
Because it's funny
so,
because I think he turned out to be a hacker himself, which makes things
yes,
even more complicated.
yeah, Aurorus was a hacker, and he was kind of like I remember a lot of people kind of he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. He was quite a abrasive character, I think.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it all beefing over a game. It all seems silly now, but you know, it, it was years ago.
And you guys are all like teenagers, right? Like,
We were, yeah, we were. I think most of most of Geostorm at the time was kind of under 18, or at
mm.
least under 20. Um, so yeah,
I'm assuming Riot was a part of Geostorm at the time when he asked you about it, right?
yes, yeah.
It's like
I
that
think he
was
was a.
like a, yeah.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Don't worry.
All right, cool, cool. I think he was kind of. I don't know if he was a moderator, or an admin or something. I'm pretty sure he was. He was kind of one of the higher ups. Him, Viper, and Michigan, and maybe a couple others. I couldn't really tell you now. Um, but yeah, he was in GS at the time.
So that was a bit of like a split in the group, eh?
Yeah, I mean there would have in hindsight been better ways to go about kind of verifying a nerf version. I could have just let Riot verify it. Um, but I don't know if I was just in a rush at the time, or maybe there was some maybe pride came into a little bit, and I didn't want anything on my account to be verified, even though it was hacked anyway by anyone other than me. Um, yeah, I can't really remember to be honest, but
Yeah, no, no worries, no worries.
yeah,
And on the topic of the ultimate phase, I see like it's very interesting timing, but around the time that Riot was making his way through Bloodbath pre-confession, you
yes.
were working along with other people on the ultimate phase too.
Um, there's like three versions of the Ultimate Phase 2 that I've tried to start at different times, and they've all just kind of fallen apart, either due to my kind of inconsistency in being active or other reasons. So there was an initial version using At the Speed of Light in 2015 that I think started out with like kind of like a light blue background, and there was like my kind of cube part, and then Aeon had a wave part. Um, that was the first kind of attempt at doing that, and I think you'll find videos of that on YouTube. There's a few kicking around just from copies that people have found.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, that never really got off the ground. I'd kind of focused. I was kind of my attention had drifted elsewhere basically, and I
yeah.
ditched that before I started working on Lunatic Doom Machine. And there was a mega collab that I'd started using the Yatagarasu song. Um, as well, I can't find. I've tried to find copies of it because I think there was a decent amount done on it, and it would have been pretty hard for the time. Um, I'm gonna try and send you a link to the review on my channel, which is I think the only kind of um remaining record of it. But
Sounds
yeah,
good.
my attention had drifted elsewhere basically.
But like, okay, maybe I'm just being a bit like I don't know, but just the timing of you making your own level with At the Speed of Light when Riot was making his way through Bloodbath, which
Yeah,
used the song At the Speed of Light, like was it an attempt to like maybe kind of overshadow it or kind of
uh, genuinely no, not at all.
okay, okay. So I'm being just skeptical for no reason. I don't know. That's just my like analytical brain because the timing is just so interesting. But I guess you guys just both like the song, eh?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
I think I don't even think I'm pretty sure I started trying to work on that Ultimate Phase sequel, that version of it, before Bloodbath had even really been previewed.
Okay.
I was just on the heels of the Ultimate Phase, and I was like, "Oh, let's do this again," and it crumbled. But I'm pretty sure that was before Bloodbath was kind of even before I even knew about it.
All right. Sounds good. All right.
Uh, I'll send you this now.
All right. Let me
Yeah,
see.
this was another thing I was working on. Um,
Hmm. Nice preview.
yeah, that was another mega collab that I was trying to do back in 1.9. But yeah, again, it never really got off the ground.
Oh, so this is what it is. Okay, I think I had this on my timeline, but I was a bit confused of what it was. I got it so wrong. I put down in my notes possibly a preview for Lunatic Dune Machine, which came out later, but obviously that's false.
No, this was a red mega collab with the Yatigarasu song. Um,
You see, it's
yeah,
great because I could speak to you and kind of get clarification, you know?
yeah, of course, of course. It's yeah, it's a lot easier than trying to like ask questions over messages and everything.
Yeah, because in the past, I think I mentioned you in a video. I don't know if
Mhm.
you saw it, but obviously the historical accuracy of that video is quite questionable. And I've been working on like the actual accuracy of what I say a lot more
Yeah,
lately.
I mean,
So
as a general thing, I think if it was the Geometry Dash's Biggest Cheaters one that I
yeah,
watched,
that one.
yeah, for the most part, kind of the timeline was pretty much right. I mean, there's stuff that even I haven't remembered until just now about Optigonus and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a good video. I enjoyed it.
It was alright, but the way I presented you, I feel bad about it, and like I was worried. Oh my gosh, this is gonna
Not
make
at
me
all,
sound
man.
like a
Not at
fool.
all.
But you know when I messaged you initially,
Mhm.
and then you took a few days to like respond back because you're busy.
Yeah.
I thought you watched the video, and then like realized I was like, oh crap. I thought you were thinking like this guy painted me in such a bad light. Why am I even bothering? But obviously
Not
that
at
was
all,
false.
man.
You're
Not at
just
all.
Billy. Like I just want to come out and just apologize for that because I've done that in the past a few times, and this is why I've been trying to reach out to people before I speak about them. You know?
Listen, you've got nothing to apologize for. Honestly, I'm just terrible at replying to messages on time.
No, no
Um,
worries, no worries.
yeah, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry.
There was another video by the YouTuber Cobb. I don't know if you saw that one.
Bob, just like COB.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'll send it in the chat.
cheer to go in the thumbnail. Christ. Um, I wonder if I did watch this a while back. Um,
The tragic thing with that video is that like he didn't go over like the full story, like the all the layers that I'll be talking about in this video once I get it out, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Like the thing
Um,
with the Optigonus guy, you know?
yeah. I mean, you've probably got kind of the clearest picture of all this out of anyone now.
Mm.
That I've just because I think all the kind of run up to the confession wasn't really documented at all because it was all kind of over private messaging and stuff. Um, his comments are funny. It saddens me that no one talks about Andromeda anymore, and his inactivity is kind of concerning. I'm fine.
Concerning.
I'm good. I'm alive.
There was a couple things I wanted to ask you too. Let me just get into
Mhm.
just like kind of wrap this up. Because it's been so wonderful speaking to you. Just to
Ah,
be
you
able to
too,
get
man.
like the
I've
full
enjoyed this. It's
picture.
been great.
Yeah.
This is like my
Sure.
first the first kind of major interaction I've had with the community in any way since maybe like late 2020, early 2021.
I
Um,
see.
and it's been lovely talking to you, man.
And like, it'll be one hell of an interaction because oh my gosh, the video I got planned will be so cool, you know, especially with the story.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'll start the video speaking about your story, and then I'll transition to talking about I don't know if you know about Novel Boy.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the guy with who beat Bloodlust, but those two stories, oh my gosh, it's gonna be such a cool video, and I can't wait to show you and everybody
I-
else.
I'm very excited. Are you doing a call with Noble Boy as well?
I wish. I think he's a bit too busy, but luckily, another YouTuber posted their interview with Noble Boy from a couple
Ah,
months ago.
fantastic.
Yeah, so
Good,
like
good.
I got all the questions I wanted to answer anyway, you know?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a great video, and like, so the thing that will make the video so great is that the reason you're one of Geometry Dash's legends. Let me put it this way: you're one of
Mhm.
Geometry Dash's legends. It was
Thank you.
because what you did by kind of redeeming yourself is
Yeah.
legendary.
Mhm. I'm
Because
glad
that's
it's
like
seen that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's like the coolest part because people accepted you right back, especially as like you're going back to like the major levels you hacked and kind of repeating them in a new chapter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the response to all of that and how the sort of rebeating of things after the confession is viewed is it does make me happy to see. It's kind of heartwarming. Just looking on not that I spend all my spare time just sitting and googling myself. It's a rare occasion, but whenever I've checked kind of YouTube or Reddit more recently, despite the hacking stuff, I think generally everything I did is viewed fairly positively.
Yeah, like there's no hard
Which
feelings at all.
yeah, yeah, which is nice to see. In contrast to that, I know I feel like someone like Space UK, for instance, seems effectively like exiled from the community now. So
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with them. I think the reason like there's such hard feelings is because even when he was caught, I mean, you kind of dealt with that privately, you know, like when you were caught initially.
Yeah.
But for him, he had a public um event where like he was kind of weaseling out and everybody saw it and like there was no remorse, you know? There's no like guilt.
Yeah, it seems like he handled it very badly, and that's the other thing. The impression I get is that there was no kind of he wasn't especially apologetic for anything, and then just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So I get
And like
why
mm,
that left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. You know.
yeah. But for me, you know, honestly, it was sad to see, but like I was hoping he'd pull an Andromeda and sort of go back for what he was go back and beat everything he hacked, you know? But obviously
Yeah, yeah,
that didn't happen,
it
unfortunately.
didn't happen. Yeah, no, it's it's crazy how much more sort of um elaborate the kind of methods used to hack and also the methods used to kind of catch people out for this sort of stuff have become
Mm,
compared to in 2015 it was just a matter of analyzing someone's like orbs and their gameplays, but now there's so much more to it.
for
um
sure.
it's just crazy to see.
And these people who are like tasked to kind of moderate this on like the demon list, like they don't get paid for it. They're just volunteering and giving it their all. And it's like,
I know it's great, and the community needs people that are there to be able to effectively do that. Um, it's very important. Um, because I
for
mean,
sure.
you see how much of an impact, how much of a negative impact just one person getting away with it can have on kind of the dynamic within the community. It's unfair to people that are playing legitimately because it diminishes their achievements. Um, so yeah, no, um, it's kind of those sorts of people are very important.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back.
No, no worries at all. At all. So, so, I got school in like, soon. So I'm just gonna start wrapping up over these next few minutes.
Yeah, of course.
So, I just had a couple questions. I saw in one of your video descriptions back in the day,
Mhm.
you were accepted into Machinima.
Yeah, so this was back. I don't know if you couldn't get paid from YouTube directly, or it was better to use like an agency or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was kind of a thing at the time for YouTubers that wanted to make money off of their videos through the partner program to use like an agent like Machinima or Curse or something like that to do it through them.
Hmm,
And I remember kind of trying my. I think I wanted to leave Machinima because I thought they were taking too much of a cut of the ad revenue. I think it was something ridiculous like 50%, um, something like that at the time. And you didn't really get any benefit from being with them either. So I remember I think I lied about my age to sign up with Machinima, and normally they wouldn't let you out of your contract. Um, but basically, I started sending them emails saying like, "You need to release me." I lied about my age. Like, I entered this contract like it's based on like false information or whatever. I'm underage. Like, let me go, and they immediately did it. So
they don't want to risk some kind of legal whatever.
pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Though they
It's
were
just
pretty sketchy.
yeah, Machinima. They sucked. They took way too much money and didn't give you much back.
Hmm.
In terms of support or anything like that.
And it's thank God things are different now, you know? Like if I was back then and trying to make a living off YouTube and like all this crap,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
It's easier to deal with now. I think my channel's been demonetized again. And I've tried to reapply for the. I mean, it's not like I'm making much money off it anyway now. It's like literally like £20 a month or something. Um, But yeah, I think because YouTube have said something about like reusing other people's content, I can't I can't monetize my videos. It might be because of like I think my most viewed is like a top 10 using other people's gameplay for the most part.
Mm,
But I mean either way, I'm not that bothered now.
yeah. Here, were other Geometry Dash YouTubers accepted into like Machinima and other programs like that, or like were you a first?
I think other YouTubers preferred to use better agents. I kind of just rushed into like the first one that I could like find, or the first one that kind of popped up, which is how I kind of ended up in a shitty contract.
Yeah.
Um, I think I remember a few others like Serve, I'm pretty sure, and stuff used were part of Curse at the time. And I eventually made the switch to them, and then eventually left Curse and just um, got paid through YouTube directly. But yeah, there were definitely a few other of the big ones. I think maybe Viper was part of Curse as well.
Mm. Interesting, because like 2015 was a different time for YouTube, right?
Very different time, yeah. The
Very.
the landscape, even just within the Geometry Dash community on YouTube, it was vastly different.
Yeah, I've been researching you and Noble Boy obviously, and the amount of like cringy 2015 intros I've had to sit through.
Oh, don't get me started. It's the 3D intros with a god awful dubstep remix over it or something.
Yeah.
Um, the funniest one for me looking back, because a few of my like friends in real life have found the video and like kind of ripped the piss out of me for it. Is the confession video that uses I think it's like a remix of an Ariana Grande song
Yeah,
as the
but that's
intro.
iconic now though.
Yeah, that's the worst one, just because of how much it doesn't match with the tone of the video at all.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious, bro. It's iconic now. Don't worry.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Uh, here, another question for you. So, I saw
Mhm.
that in your like redemption arc, I could say you were working on a bloodbath.
Yeah, nightmare.
Oh, I can
I
imagine.
I think I died at like 80 something percent. I don't know. It was 89. Can't really remember. Or 85. I think it was 85. And I think around that time I just kind of stopped to play the game as much. And never ended up beating it. I feel like, or I like to think that if I went back, it probably wouldn't take me too long to do now. Um, but yeah, yeah, I
You
think
want to go
my
back?
yeah, yeah, I do. And I play Geometry Dash. More recently, I've been playing Geometry Dash quite a bit on my mobile. Um, just kind of for fun in my spare time, not beating anything especially hard. But just kind of as a way of passing time. Um, there's quite a few levels that I'd like to beat now. Um, but I don't know if now is the right time, just because I'm going to be moving abroad not too long from now, just for work stuff. Only until next year, but it's still quite a long period of time to be away, and I
Yeah.
can't like bring my whole like gaming laptop and monitor and all that along with me. Um, there's a at the moment there's another thing which I'd like to involve myself in as much as possible, but because of work, I don't know if it will be possible. A group of friends in the community from a few years back are trying to properly organize an Ultimate Phase sequel now,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they've asked me to build a part in it, but if it doesn't kind of get started in the next couple of weeks, I don't know if I'll be able to. Um, But I would keep an eye out for that when it does. If it does get off the ground, and I hope it does, because they've got a good list of people.
Like, what
Um,
kind of names are we talking? Big names like
yeah, I'll try and find the list. Hold on. I think I don't know how many of these are definite and how many of them are just kind of perspective names, so I
Mm,
wouldn't make anything public about it just now.
of course.
Um, but we've kind of got Lugia, Gyron, Majako, uh, Findexy, Smokes, um, Platnu, Metalface, uh, Serve, Ospectro, Darwin, um, Korea Quer, potentially Viperin maybe.
That's
Um,
beautiful. Like it's like the band's getting back together. These are lots of like old names, you know?
I know the band minus Guitar Hero styles,
Oh yeah,
ideally.
because we don't we don't mess around with that anymore, do we?
Yeah, we have a strict no sex pest rule in my mega collabs, so there'll be none of that.
I see, I see. Interesting. All right. Um so on the topic of like your old bloodbath progress and you kind of like distancing yourself from the game, like why did
Yeah,
you quit, I guess I can ask. Like after you came back, you beat like the most important levels you hacked, you know, ICDX, Cataclysm, I think you got Necropolis out too, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. But like
I,
why did you quit after
oh,
that?
um, I think around that time I was kind of at a approaching kind of 15, 16, which I think for a lot of people is kind of a pretty turbulent time as a teenager. I think that's when
Mm,
kind of like all those hormones flying about and whatever kind of comes to a boil, you know. And I guess I just kind of got sidetracked with life and school. Um, and I think 20, like just in terms of my personal life, kind of like 2016, 17 was kind of a difficult year for me, I guess,
mm.
in a few ways. So my attention kind of got diverted from the game, and although I made a lot of attempts to kind of get back to it, I think I never fully, yeah, I just never really fully caught on. And I think especially later on, come like 2020, 2021, when I made another attempt to get back into the game, I think I was just frustrated by how high the difficulty ceiling had become by that point, and just didn't, I didn't think I could compete anymore. So I
Yeah,
guess it was
because
just kind of like, what's the point?
exactly, like the jump, like Geometry Dash was a completely different game by that point, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the top 10 back in 2016, and the top 10 in like late 2020, early 2021 are just the the gap in difficulty is indescribable, and I just
Yeah.
didn't really think by that point. Um, I just figured it wasn't for me. I couldn't compete with these kind of levels. I couldn't beat them. So that was pretty much it.
Yeah, no worries. All right. I think that wraps up all of the important questions I had to ask you because like now all the gaps in
Mhm.
my research have been completely answered and it's
I'm
incredible.
glad. Fantastic.
Is there anything else you'd want to like leave off with? Like is there anything we didn't get to?
Um, for the most part, no. I think we've pretty much covered all bases in terms of my timeline playing Geometry Dash. Um, I guess the only thing I left to say is thank you for doing this call. I've genuinely, I was a bit kind of nervous anticipating it, but this has been a great chat. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been nice to reflect on I mean, what was at one point a pretty big part of my life. Um,
Of course.
it's been a nice little trip down memory lane.
Of course. I'm thinking in case anybody wants to like kind of listen into this sort of interview, I'd
Mhm.
like to perhaps make a video in this kind of style that I posted in the Google chat. Of course,
Mhm.
I'll block out all that private stuff we spoke about before I even think about it, but just in case
Yeah,
like anybody in the future comes along and hey, I want to make a video on Andromeda too, you know?
yeah, yeah. Of course. So that's absolutely fine. The like you said, the only things that I would request would be left out would just be stuff related to like anything personally identifiable, like the career stuff. What I'm doing with regards
Yeah.
to that. But other than that, all the yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Of course. So thank you so much. I gotta start rushing to school because oh my gosh, this conversation was so like interesting. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
don't miss
see
your
if I
class.
can. Yeah, of course. All right. So yeah, thank you so much. Amazing
Not at
hour
all.
with
Thank
you,
you.
and yeah, take care.
Take care. You too, man. Catch you later.
Yeah.